Light notes to
Light notes to the outro.
These are the songs of our lives.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Songs of Our Lives. I'm Brad Rose. I'm an artist, composer, a writer, the founder of Foxy, Digitalis, and someone who thinks about music and sound far more than is healthy. Each week, I invite on a guest to talk about the songs and the music that has meant a lot to them and left its mark. Previous guests include Ruth Garbus, Chuck Johnson, Greg Davis, Charmaine Lee, lots of people. I don't know. But this week, I'm really excited to have Bob Holmes on the show. Bob is, of course, a member of Sus, who, like low-key, one of my favorite groups around. I realized as I was prepping for this, just how much I listen to Sus. Like, I have Sus on all the time when I'm, like, doing things. And it's just really great. Their latest album, it just came out a couple weeks ago. It's called Counting Sunsets. It's on Northern Spy. It feels very much like a Sus record, but it feels like a different Sus record. It's kind of, they made this when they'd been on the road basically for a long time. And I feel like there's something about this record that feels especially locked in. And it was also, I think, recorded in a more condensed window than previous albums. And it feels like it kind of freed something up and really, I don't know, it like opened up another channel of the Sus universe. It's really fantastic. He also hosts, he hosts the Across the Horizon podcast, but it's so much more of a podcast. We talk about this. I'm not going to get too much into it. I really think of it as like an ecosystem because it's a label. It is the podcast. It is, the label itself is such a cool concept. But I don't want to say too much about that other than you should really listen to the podcast. There's so many good episodes. I've missed some and I gotta go back and catch up because we're talking and he mentioned Walt McClemenets episode and I was like, geez, I haven't heard that one. I really got to go check it out. So that's actually on my listening list for today as I work on some tasks. So anyway, Bob's a real one. This was an absolute blast to do. You really got to check out Counting Sunsets. If you're a fan of this podcast, you'll be a fan of that record. So this was a good time and I hope you'll enjoy it. My guest today is a musician, a composer, a songwriter, a podcaster. I guess I can call you a curator too, actually. It's Bob Holmes. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. It's great to be here, Brad.
So there's a lot of things to mention here. You've got, just came out, Counting Sunsets on Northern Spy, which that's a really great title, by the way. Such an evocative title. I really love that. And I want to talk about that, but I want to mention too, Across the Horizon. So I was trying to think of how to describe this because it feels like it's sort of this entire ecosystem at this point so how do you describe it?
An ecosystem is a good way. Community is kind of a glib word, but I'll use that. It's not a genre, obviously. If you listen to the podcast, which goes under the same name, or subscribe or listen to the series, the music, other than a common factor between most of the tracks, not all the tracks, but most of the tracks are instrumental. Mm-hmm. It's people finding new ways to make engaging instrumental music. It's, it was just one of those things. Northern Spy, the label that Sus is on, asked me if I was interested in working with them as an A&R person, which I said, no, I don't want to do that. But I said, consider this. If you give me a label imprint, I have a concept for a label that I don't think has ever been done and that I think people would really get into, especially the artist. is that for every artist that I choose to be on the label, they get to choose 2 other artists to be on the label.
Yeah.
And that simple concept of, the label gave me the power to choose artists. And I thought that was a really nice gift from them. But to be able to pass that gift along to another group of artists who could then turn around and ask other artists to be on it, all of a sudden it just opened the whole thing up. And, and what and how it opened it up was that it gave them, it gave me the ability to ask artists much bigger than Sus, artists, well-established artists, to be part of a compilation, which I knew they have plenty of things to do. They don't need to have one more song on a compilation. But the fact that I was giving them the opportunity to reach out and attract other artists to this thing, it just seemed to be a no-brainer. And everybody just signed on and wanted to do it. And it's been great. Now, we're into our volume 2 now, and we've got over the 2 volumes, over 48 artists who have been involved in it. And we're just starting to pick artists for volume 3. So it's been amazing.
Awesome. Has there been, so like one of my favorite things doing this show actually is the amount of music I've been turned on to that I was not otherwise aware of is, it's a mountain. It's been, has that been part of the experience? Like, have you discovered artists that you weren't aware of through this?
Oh, of course. I a lot of the artists, and that's one thing I learned through the podcast, because basically I wanted the label to reflect what I was doing and the successes I was having in the podcast, which was I would usually reach out to one of my favorite artists who would have recently put out an album, and have them on the show. But rather than talk about their own album, which they just released, which, you're doing a good job of it here. It's like, the first thing to do is not ask me about a record that I put out, but ask about music that other people put out, because you're going to hear me a lot more excited about talking about other people's music than my own.
100%.
So instead of asking them to come on the podcast and talk about their own music, much like your show, I said, hey, pick a playlist of songs and we're going to talk about that. And they'd say, well, what am I supposed to pick? And I said, I don't care. Make up your own thing. So, Hayden Pedigo would say, here are 12 songs that I just couldn't have gotten through high school without. And somebody else, David Moore from Bing and Ruth, came on and said, I want to pick music that I like to call blind spots, artists that you're not going to believe I never listened to ever. And everybody has their own thing. Craw's Boyce, the 2 guys from Animal Collective, I just interviewed them, and they wanted to talk about high school music. And a lot of, or said some people comes on want to talk about the music that their parents listened to. I said, great, that's perfect.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And through that, you're hearing much exactly like your show, in hearing them talk about other people's music, the genesis of their own personal music comes through loud and clear. So,
yeah, that's what I always tell people when they're like prepping for this show. It's like, it's less about the songs and it's more about the story it tells. And that's the part I love. I mean, obviously it's also about the songs because you get to hear, talk about great music, but I'm the same way. I hate talking about my own music. I love talking about everybody else's. Well, and while we're real quick, so the next volume, well, you're in volume 2.
We're in the middle of volume 2 right now.
Okay. The next, what is it? An iteration? I don't even know how you the next one is about to come out, the Chuck Johnson.
Yeah, right. The next, we call them drops. The next drops.
Okay.
It comes in Chuck and Mariel, V. Jacobson's and Cole Police.
Yeah. Chuck's been on the show, and Marielle. I was thinking about this.
I think just about everybody who's been on my podcast has been on your podcast.
A lot of crossover. Yeah. And I've been working on getting Marielle on, and I kind of realized when I was prepping for this that I put out her first ever record back in 2009 when she was doing Darwin's Bitch. And so,
well, I was a huge fan, still am a huge fan of Sera Selka, but only in talking to Chuck, which that's the next podcast that comes up, is that I realized that she was also in Date Palms, which is like one of my all-time favorite bands. So that's
her and Greg Kowalski, who I had on a previous podcast. Anyway, it's all interconnected.
It is,
but yeah, the new one with Chuck and the next drop is excellent, and so I'm really excited about how the rest of this volume is going to play out. And
we have after Chuck. After Chuck, there is Carlos Nino, and he's bringing on two folks. I'm supposed to leave the guests as a surprise, and after Carlos is Mary Lattimore, and after Mary is Alan Sparhawk. And I've heard all of the music, and it's just unbelievable. So
that's awesome. That's great. Yeah. I love that concept. Like you said, inviting an artist to then invite other art. Like, I think that's, like, you're right. I've never heard of a label that's done that. Like, the closest thing I ever had.
One of the things that happened that we hadn't planned on, we figured, we were going to punch up and try to grab for artists that we normally never would be able to grab, because we thought the concept was strong enough. What we weren't prepared for is that a lot of those artists themselves punched up to ask their heroes to be on it, bigger people than, and I was like, whoa, okay. So the end result is that you get this wide variety of artists, legendary artists right next to people that you probably have never heard of. Yeah. But it all feels like they're all working in the same world, so it's exciting for everybody.
Yeah. I think it's a fantastic concept, and long may it continue. So,
Thank you.
I guess before we jump into the songs, I will ask briefly, because I do want to mention the new Sus record, Counting Sunsets. Like I said, great title. Is there a particular story behind the name? Actually, that would be a good
Counting Sunsets. Well, there is, and I'll try not to bore you with it, but when the songs were originally written and the sketches started to come in, we just called each of them Sunset. We didn't really think about it, and it was all placeholder stuff, right?
Sure.
And we had it in a folder, and the folder was called Counting Sunsets. And so when it came down, all the music was done, and I remember Jonathan and Pat and I sitting at a picnic table at a outdoor brewery or something. I said, so what are we going to call the album? And we all had these highfalutin ideas, and Pat said, no, we got to call it Counting Sunsets. It's really, because once again, whether we knew it or not, the music sort of told us what it wanted to be before we even knew what it was. And then we got philosophical about the whole thing. And, we're three guys of a certain age. And we thought the concept of Counting Sunsets was very appropriate. There's a cowboy Western aspect to it, which you can't get away from. But there's also the idea of being very present, like every day, every sunset is an important one to pay attention to. And yet, on the same time, in a very Sussian way, for every light thought, there's a dark thought buried underneath it. Is like, when you start to count sunsets, you start to wonder, how many more sunsets do you have? And so, much like the music itself, there was this lightness and beauty and joy on the top, but then this like dark kicker on the bottom. So we just stuck with it and went with it.
Well, I think it works. I think, it really, it fits the music to me. Like it makes, I don't know, altogether it makes a lot of sense. And then hearing your explanation, it kind of, I feel like that adds another layer for me. But it's a great record. And
thank you.
Yeah. So I know you'd rather talk about other people's music, so we'll do that. But I should add, like, is there any like shows or anything coming up you want to mention before we get into it, or
Well, we just
To
got
be
off.
announced.
We just got off of a couple week tour of the West Coast,
Yeah.
which is great. And before that, we had done our Across the Horizon show
Right.
at Big Ears, and now we're getting ready. We've got a few spot shows around the Northeast, and we're heading to Czechoslovakia to headline
Nice.
the Colors of Ostrava festival in
That'll be a
Czechoslovakia.
good time. Awesome.
We hope
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
It'll be an adventure. We can always count on that.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right. Well, I don't have a great segue here, so we're just going to dive in. And as always, I'm going to begin with what is the first song that you remember?
The first, let me just, let me provide the segue here, and which is that your questionnaire that you give all of the artists who are on your show, I'm assuming, really, it kind of took my breath away, because it made me realize, especially after I started, what I did is that I didn't think about anything. I just read the question and made a just top of my head answer to all of them. And, I didn't intellectualize it at all. And then I looked at the playlist of songs that I put together, and I realized that, oh my God, there's not a song on here that I haven't been listening to for over 50 or 60 years. And, on your podcast, that's probably rare,
Yeah.
and this is music that I have listened deeply to for 50 or 60 years. And in some cases, heard it in an elevator, heard it in a shopping center, heard it in a car radio, heard it on MTV, heard all the play. It all started to stack up, all the different places that I'd heard this music and how I felt during that period of time.
That's great.
And it really, I said, oh, this is a history. And this is the soundtrack of my life, whether I want to own up to it or not. It's the soundtrack of my life. So anyway, the first song that I listened to that I can remember, and I didn't have to think about this for a second, was Doris Day's Que Sera, Sera.
Yeah.
And definitely not the hippest song on the playlist, but I can remember my mom singing this song to my brother and I when we were little kids. The song had just come out. It was a brand new song when I heard it. And she would sing it to us as a lullaby. And I don't remember, the weirdest thing about the song is that I didn't remember the first two verses, even though the first verse is the most famous verse. I remember her singing the third verse to my brother and I, which was, now I'm a mother now, and my kids ask me, what should I be? And will I be rich? Will I be famous? Here's what she said to me. And it's basically just, don't worry about it. You're going to be what you are. Right. And, here's a bit of my backstory that I've never told anybody on anything. My last name is Holmes. And my dad was a Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Ohio. My uncle was a Chief Justice. My family goes back, lawyers, all the way back to Oliver Wendell Holmes, lawyers and judges. But from the very early, my brother and mine's earliest years, my mother, in some strange way, decided we were not going to be those people. And my brother and I both turned out to be artists and musicians, and we're the first in a long line of Holmeses that didn't become lawyers and judges. And when I just recently for you re-listened to Que Sera, Sera, that last verse came and it hit me like she was telling us this before we even knew what she was talking about. Right. And it was, it kind of,
incredible.
It gobsmacked me right off the bat.
I bet. Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. Wow. What a
I promise not all my stories will be that involved, but
yeah, that's amazing. I mean, and yeah, like this is one of those songs that's we all kind of know this song, and but like I love that there's that sort of special connection and meaning to it, and yeah, it makes that's
I think the one thing you can say about my playlist in general is that we'll all know every one of the songs on this playlist. There's not an oddball one on this playlist.
Yeah, I think the most obscure one. Well,
we'll get there.
Surprise. What is a song that either makes you cry, or if it doesn't like actually make you cry, it just makes you kind of get in that kind of feeling?
To me, and this has not changed, or over the years, when this record came out in 75, I think it was. I'm not great with dates, but it's Becalmed by Brian Eno from his famous album Before and After Science. I mean, Another Green World.
Yeah.
And I just promised you not a long story of why, but this is when this album came out, my girlfriend at the time, Trish Milliken, had just started a band called Rubber Rodeo, and we'd graduated college, and we were living in the farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. We had no money whatsoever, no hope for any. It was just I can remember sitting at this table in this farmhouse, heated by wood. We're freezing our tails off, looking out the window at a snowy landscape, and the sun's just setting on the horizon. And we had a little cheap ass CD player, and we were playing this album, and just that music came on, and I didn't think I could get any more depressed. It was just, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? This music is so beautiful, and I'll never get a chance to make any music that's anywhere near this. And I can remember Trish sitting across the table from me, looking at me like, wondering like, what the hell did you get us into this time? And literally like out of a bad teen movie, right when that was happening, right in the middle of this, got a phone call from Polygram Records saying, hey, we just heard this 45 that you put out, and would you be interested in being on a major label? I know you guys are kind of quirky. And that moment in time is seared in my memory with the soundtrack of Eno's Becalmed in the background. Wow. I guess it's a sad story and a happy story at the same time, but it is there for me. And now we're talking over 50 years later. I don't think it's going to go away. So,
right. Yeah, no, that's incredible. Like, cause this song to me, like it feels like sort of being like suspended motionless in space and time.
And that's how I felt at the time. Yeah. I was just like, I am not, I am becalmed. And the next step after being becalmed is sinking. And
wow, so. That's amazing. Yeah, what a great song too. But
yeah, it's great. And it's funny that I think though I do hate to talk about my own music too much, that feeling that's in Becalmed that is both beautiful and dark and sad at the same time is sort of a central to the DNA of Sus, I believe. So.
Yeah, I think it's very much thinking about what you were saying about the latest record. I think it very much is in the thread of that music.
Yeah.
Well, on the other side of that, what's a song that'll put you in a better mood?
Oh, always Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. And maybe that's a boring answer. I don't know, but I'm telling you, it is, that song is so good. And, a lot of it hinges, of course, upon the 2 guitar solos by David Gilmour. But, you know, I've obviously the original Pink Floyd version is great, but I've heard everybody and their brother do a version, you know, where, you know, David Gilmour gets David Bowie to do the Roger Waters part, or he gets Cumberbatch to do it, or all sorts of actors and different singers to do that part. And it always just moves me. And I think at first I thought it was just the guitar solos, but in the context of this playlist that I put together for you, and I went back and listened to it again, I didn't realize that there, in the second verse going into the chorus, he changes the lyrics a little bit, you know, when I was a child, you know, and it talks about the rock star as a child. And it just like, oh yeah, of course, I get it. It resonates with me. One of the things that I'm most proud about Sus, and though we don't talk about it a lot, I know that it's something of very high priority when we make our music, whatever the bottom line is that it feels age appropriate. As I said, we're 3 men of a certain age. We're all born in 1955. So I'll let you guys do the math. But we're most proud of the fact that we make music that feels age appropriate. And a lot of the music that's in this playlist here has aged very well over the years for all of us, except for the tracks you asked me, which haven't aged well, but you know, but you know, I think if you can listen to a piece of music for 50 or 60 years and you still get enjoyment out of it, I'd say that that's a pretty amazing, you know, amazing thing.
And that, we were in the last episode I did with Ruth Garbus that just came out. We kind of got into talking about sort of the other side of that, where something that has been so meaningful to you or whatever, but then kind of loses its magic, and how that can be kind of sad, actually. Like, and which, you know, I do have a question that kind of gets to that, so I'll, you know, we'll get to that. But I think that's really interesting too. Just like how you were like realizing, you know, thinking it's like this one part about the song that is what really kind of moves me, and then you know, hearing all these different versions with all these different people, it's like, no, it gets me kind of every time. It's just the song, right? Like, I mean, I literally, you know, I could be scanning the dial on my radio, and if I hit it, I'm going to stop and listen to it. It's like a good movie that you've seen 10 times. It doesn't matter which scene you come in on it. It's like, I'm going to watch the rest of I'm going to watch the rest of it. Absolutely. And I'm always looking for, you know, like I picked my wife up at a nail salon over the holidays or something, and it was on in the background. And I said, "This is so perfect. It's perfect for music for a nail salon." Why not? It's for any setting. Well, everybody's favorite question: what is objectively the greatest song of all time? Oh, I don't even have to think about this for a second. As a matter of fact, I could use the next song to answer about half of the questions that you asked, but I did. It's Wichita Lineman, and if anybody on your show has ever said anything else other than Wichita Lineman, then they've missed the mark, because I think it's just a known fact that it's the best song ever written by a human being. Well, objectively, right? It's I mean, I could spend a whole hour with you, talking about why this song, in every aspect of it, is like the best thing. There is no small coincidence that the first song that Sus ever released was called Wichita, because we went in. It's like, how do we capture that vibe? That we know is in Wichita Lineman. I mean, I'm not going to, you're going to have to stop me here, because this is one of those songs that, you know, I could talk about the bass line at the first part of the song, the Carol Kay bass line.
Unbelievable. I could talk about the the baritone guitar solo in the third verse instead of the singing. I could talk about the string arrangements. I could talk about the drums. It just, and that's just, we're into the arrangements. So anybody who's ever tried to learn and play this song, it is not an easy song. It sounds very easy, but it's a very complicated song to play. And the chordal, the harmonic arrangement is unbelievable. But let's just talk about the lyrics. And I know that you have a question later on in the show about lyrics, but I'm just going to answer that question right now because it's just,
what you picked is like the greatest lyric of all time.
I need you more than want you, and I want you for all time.
What a lyric! God, what a line!
When I read the book called Wichita Lineman, which is about making a whole book based upon the making of the song Wichita Lineman, and Paul McCartney is quoted in that book as saying that's the one lyric of a song that he read that he said, I have never been able to top that lyric ever in any song I've ever written. So
it's that line. I feel like I think about that lyric at least like once a day.
and think about this. I mean, we're talking about an existential love song. I mean, how many of those are there, in the first place? An existential love song through the mindset of a telephone line repairman up in the wires on a telephone pole. I mean, come on. I mean, the genius just I hear you singing through the wires. I can hear it in the lines. And then they little God. I told you, don't get me started because it's just my God.
What a song. Yeah. I'm going to move on so we don't just keep going because I totally get it. Okay, well what is the song you used to love, but you've heard it recently? If you think about it now, it doesn't quite hit you the same.
Well, I'll use the song Roundabout by Yes. And only because that was probably the biggest selling. It's hard to believe that there was a period of time when Yes was the biggest band on the planet. And that they had the biggest albums on the planet, bigger than Led Zeppelin. I mean, it's just kind of weird. In hindsight, it's very weird. It's like if you told me that Rush or ELO was the biggest band on the planet, but they never were. But Yes was, and Roundabout was maybe not their biggest hit, but that was their signature hit. And and I have to say that in doing the podcast. My podcast, I found that a lot of my peers are closet prog rock fans. It's something that they didn't want to talk about before, but now, okay, we can all admit that we like Genesis, we like King Crimson, we liked Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Yes, and Gentle Giant, and you go down through the list.
Sure.
But, and I do, I appreciate them, but I have to admit that when I go back and listen to them again, I don't, believe me, I'm not finding any Wichita Linemans in there. I'm not finding a track that is, the only thing that it defines for me is my high school years, because all those records that I just mentioned came out when I was in high school. So, it was great make-out music. It was great driving around in the car in the cornfields of Ohio music. It was great pot smoking music. It was great Quaalude music, but, and so it defines an era of my life, which I still respect. But as a soundtrack, it's like when I get together with my old high school friends now, they'll say, remember when you made us have to listen to Genesis all the time? I don't think I've ever excused you for having to do that, because I still don't like Genesis, and it's 50 years later. So I said, okay, you're allowed to make this decision.
Yeah, no, I think that there's a lot of music like that from my high school years when I think about that. It was so important to me that, and it was perfect kind of for that moment. But yeah, now it just doesn't. It's not that time of my life. I don't know. I mean, it's not age appropriate, I think.
Yeah, it's not age appropriate, and I think that's it. It didn't age well, unlike some of the classics that we'll be talking about later in this podcast.
Yeah. Well, kind of adjacent to that, what is a song that most people, some group of people, I don't know, people don't like it, but you don't care, you still love it?
Yeah, I don't know if this is exactly the answer to the question that you're asking, but when and this is kind of a moving on from the last question, which was that if me and my peers, my peers and I are sitting around talking about music and about the greats, the Beatles, the Stones, the Beach Boys, the Byrds, whatever, from that period of time, and it's hard to find fault in any of those. And I'm always wondering, like, why aren't we talking about the Monkees? It's like, because to deny them, to be my age, in 1964 and 65, I was like 9, 10, 11 when the Monkees came out. So I was the prime audience for the Monkees. I bought myself a Dickie. I got a little knit hat like Michael Nesmith. I wore the Beatle boots and the tight corduroy pants. I bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. And really, it's whether they played on the tracks or not. The songs were written by some of the best American songwriters of all time, whether it's Carole King or Neil Diamond or Boyce and Hart, goes on, and Michael Nesmith himself. So I just, and when you look the song, so the song that I put on here and the Porpoise song, I just think it's a great song by any era's standard.
Yeah,
in the first 15 minutes of the Monkees movie, whose name Head, Monkees movie Head, leads right into that song, and it's one of the best openings of any movie of all time. Now, the rest of the movie is questionable by any standard, but those first 15 minutes that leads into Mickey Dolenz jumping off the bridge and drowning in the water to the song, the Porpoise song, is, well, if it's out there on YouTube, find it. It's really, really good. But, in a normal conversation with most people, they don't want to hear me talking about the Monkees. That's just, it's not cool to talk about the Monkees.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you though. I mean, it's a great song. It's like, it's dreamy and psychedelic. And
that's a great, Last Train to Clarksville is a great song.
Yeah.
Pleasant Valley Sunday, Valerie. I mean,
yeah.
Whether they play the instruments or not, but it set a style. I have to admit that my taste ran more on the poppy side. So while some people were listening to the Beatles and the Beach Boys, I was listening to the Monkees and Paul Revere and the Raiders. But you just, I'll live with that. That's just the way it is.
All right. What's the most romantic song?
Okay. Well, here, I could go down a deep dark hole, because this song runs neck and neck with Wichita Lineman. So it's everything that I just said about Wichita Lineman. I know you've tried to forget it if you're listening to this podcast, but just remember it again. But it's the Harry Nilsson version of Everybody's Talking. And there is not a stray note in there. Everything about this song is just amazing. And then you couple that, you cannot listen to this song and not think about the Greyhound bus scene at the end of Midnight Cowboy. It's just impossible.
Yep.
Dustin Hoffman dead in the back seat of a Greyhound while John Voight is trying to figure out what to do with a dead body in the back of a Greyhound bus. And it was a perfect coupling of imagery and music. But even taking the movie away, that song and the band that I was in the 80s, Rubber Rodeo, we had a minor hit covering Everybody's Talking. We also covered Wichita Lineman. We covered Patsy Cline's Walking After Midnight. We covered Ring of Fire. We did a lot of bizarro new wave versions of country music. But Everybody's Talking is just one of those songs that's just so beautiful. And the Harry Neal or the Fred Neil version is good, but boy, Harry Nilsson just brings something to it that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the production on it, the way his voice is just kind of floating over the mix. And it just, to me, it like adds to that sort of vulnerability of the whole thing, which is, what a great.
And once again, the string arrangements. I mean, take a hard listen to the string. It's almost hard to believe that they're actual strings because in many ways it sounds like what a modern synthesizer would do. And as far as the string arrangement goes, it was very atypical for the time. And you think, oh no, somebody's just, playing an early synthesizer or something until you find out. Then all of a sudden there's a change. You go, oh my God, I'm listening to a string section here.
Right.
And once again, the drums and the guitar playing. I'm sure in both cases, I bet if I took a deep dive, in both songs, I bet both songs, I know that Wichita Lineman was played by the Wrecking Crew. I'd be surprised if Everybody's Talking wasn't played by the Wrecking Crew too. So I bet it's a lot of the same musicians playing those songs.
Man, yeah, that's I'm about to look that up after this.
Yeah, no, in the Wichita Lineman book, I think, and I may get this wrong, but the Wrecking Crew are just such monsters that they went in one day. And, they're only told what they're going to play the morning of the day in which they do the recording, right? So they get the charts, they hear the song. They recorded Wichita Lineman, My Boots Are Made for Walking, and maybe like Up, Up, and Away on the same day or something like that.
Man, yeah.
Three like lifetime hits in one afternoon they pulled off.
Yeah, it's like, it's just a Tuesday. I don't know.
It's a Tuesday. Yeah, they don't know if these songs are going to be bigger or not.
Right.
We're just playing these songs today, and they play them great.
Yeah. What is the song that changed your perspective on an artist, either for better or for worse?
This is a no-brainer too for me. Nebraska for Bruce Springsteen. That was that period in the 80s. I was in a new wave band, and Springsteen just didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. It just sounded bombastic. It sounded like freedom rock. It sounded like, I was living in Providence and in Boston at the time, and he was huge there, but it just didn't make any sense to me. And then he put out Nebraska, and it all just clicked. It's just like, oh my God, this is like the real thing. This is great.
Yeah.
And then his album after that was Born in the USA. And he lost me again. So it's funny. He was just in one record. He grabbed me, and now years later, I appreciate his whole catalog. But appreciate is about as far as I could go. But Nebraska is unbelievable. And when I found out that my friend Warren Zanes was going to write a book about that particular record, the Deliver Me From Nowhere, I was like, oh my God! All the things that I wanted to know about that.
Yeah.
Album Warren was able to get out of Bruce Springsteen. It was really, really good.
Yeah, that's that's the whole record is great, but that song just has this like. It's such
Have you seen? When the movie Deliver Me From Nowhere came out, which is I I like it, but it's not the best biopic of all time. I forget which streaming channel had Bruce Springsteen play the whole album solo, or the whole Nebraska album.
No, I haven't seen it.
And he plays it from beginning to end, just he sitting on a stage, no audience, just an acoustic guitar, going through all 10 songs. And oh my God, once again, it's one of those classic age appropriate albums. It's better now than it was 40 years ago when it first came out. So
yeah, I'll have to look that up. That sounds incredible. All right. Well, we already talked about the greatest lyrics. So, again, don't need to go back down that rabbit hole, but I need you more than want you. And I want you for all time.
Want you for all time. Yep. That's it.
What song have you, or can you listen to the most?
I really still love Brian Eno's Baby's on Fire. I don't, and if you, I guess, that would be a signature song for Eno, I would think.
I would think
singing version of Eno. But the one thing that I wanted to mention, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that Brian Eno is responsible for the best guitar solos in Robert Fripp's career, which is, considering all the records that Robert Fripp has made, especially the King Crimson records. If anybody can point to me solos that are better than, say, Baby's on Fire, or I'll Come Running to Tie Your Shoes, or St. Elmo's Fire, or, or any of the stuff from Evening Star, or he had the ability to bring out this melodicism in Fripp's guitar playing that and of course the biggest one of all time, Heroes by Bowie, which we'll talk about here in a minute, I guess.
Sure.
But I think that is, I think that's what astounds me, the lyrical, vocal, melodic quality of Fripp's solo on Baby's on Fire never gets old for me.
No, it's the guitar. Yeah, that's I'm right there with you.
I asked people to go back and listen to that song, and if you're really aware of the song and the solo on top, there's also at 1 or 2 octaves below the solo, there's another Fripp solo underneath it. That once you lock into this other solo that he did that's in a completely different direction, and you hear how those two things fit together, that's like the magic of what makes Babies on Fire. It's just the combination of these elements.
Yeah, incredible. What song was the last song you completely fell in love with?
And this is not because it is on the Across the Horizon releases, but I think Walt McClemenets' song "Billows Like a Shore" is just. I talked to him about it when he was on the podcast, and I said to him, "Walt, I bet I've listened to this song more than you have." And he says, "You probably have." There's aspects about the song that I think that I just fell into that he'd long forgotten. But to me, when I listen to it, and I know that we're going to talk about this soon, it lifts me up like Bowie's Heroes does. It just has this, it gets behind my breastplate and lifts me up. And the way he builds the harmonics on it, and then at the peak of the song, he makes a left turn that you don't expect, and it goes a slightly different way, and then he rises you up again. We had Sus had the honor of being able to back Walt up on that song at Big Ears, and it came out really, really good, and we'd love to release it as a single because it's because amazing. Pat then got to play the Fripp like Ebo behind it, and
yes,
and the pedal, something about the combination of a pedal steel and an accordion just is a perfect match of sounds. It's great. I love the song. I could listen to it every day and never get tired of it.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful song. And I interviewed Walt last year, which I'm gonna have to check out your episode of the podcast because I think I missed that one. But I interviewed him for Foxy Digitalis a year or two. I can't remember when it was, but man, I came away like I've always been a big admirer of him, but I came away from that just with such a deeper appreciation for just how he approaches his music. I think he's incredible.
He tells some very personal stories in the podcast about deciding that how the accordion was going to be his instrument, and his appreciation for squeeze box music in general across many different cultures. He's really steeped in the history and culture of cool. Accordion music. It's amazing,
man. What's a lyric you thought you knew but you learned it was something else and it blew your mind?
Oh, if I thought people thought I was going to be stupid with monster models, this is going to be it. And even just the fact that you asked that question, and then when I knew immediately what the answer was, and then I've just been laughing at myself that. This is back in the 80s, and the song had just come out. And the song is "Our Lips Are Sealed."
Mm-hmm.
The title of the song is "Our Lips Are Sealed." So, but Trish and I mentioned Trish before. She was in Rubber Rodeo, where so I think we had been toured with the Go-Go's. I know that we'd seen them multiple times. Rubber Rodeo, if you don't know, was kind of like a one-hit wonder, new wave country western band. Imagine Roy Rogers and Dale Evans if they met Pee Wee Herman and played music like the B-52s. And we got nominated for a Grammy for our videos. Our videos were very popular in the early days of MTV, and so we toured with just about every silly new wave band you could think of. And one of those was the Go-Go's. And I remember Trish talking to me, saying to me one time, she goes, "I love this song, but why do you think they call it Our Lips Are Sealed? I don't get it." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Well, they keep singing, Honest I See You, but they never." And then every time after that, when I listened to the song, all I could hear was "Honest." Instead of our lips are sealed, we thought it was "Honest I See You." And even now, 40, 50 years later, I'll see Trish and we'll bring that up and we're like, God, we were the stupidest. Standing in front of the stage thinking,
right,
"Honest I See You" to a song unknowingly titled "Our Lips Are Sealed." I don't know why they're calling it that, because why don't they call it "Honest
a weird
I
title.
See You"? Yeah.
That's so great. Oh man.
I'm not building up much credibility on this.
Well, what cover's better than the original?
Oh, hands down. And if anybody else ever says anything else, I don't even. "Hurt" by Johnny Cash. Come on, "Hurt."
Yeah.
The 9 Inch Nails song. The song is so good that it made me appreciate the 9 Inch Nails version that much more.
Right.
Not that I didn't like it in the first place, but oh God,
right.
Johnny's version. This could have been the song under "What Song Still Makes You Cry," "Hurt"
Sure.
by Johnny Cash. But I think that the ultimate tribute, and I don't think Trent liked saying this when he did say it, but I went back and double checked but the first time that Trent heard it, he was not happy about it, about the cover. And his quote is, "I don't like it. This song isn't mine anymore."
Yeah.
That Johnny Cash did it in such a way that the world was going to forever remember it now as a Johnny Cash song and not as a 9 Inch Nails song. So
yeah. No, it's it feels like a deathbed confession or something. It is so devastating. And
Oh, and the video with
oh,
June comes down the stairs and takes one look at him, and and I think it's one of the very last things he did before he passed away.
Mhm.
So
yeah, unbelievable. Okay, where are we? Sexiest song.
I would have to say it's Lucinda Williams' "Righteously," and I only say that not because I don't believe that too, but it wouldn't matter what I said. It's what my wife thinks is sexy, because you can't just be sexy with yourself. Your partner has to think it's the right thing. I mean, some
Sure.
of you can out there if you want to. I'm not. Onanism is. I'm not going to downplay that. But if you're talking partners,
Right.
that song is, and once again the guitar solo
Yep.
is unbelievable, and the solos are unbelievable, and I don't know. I mean, the lyrics are saucy and sexy. It
Yeah.
feels, you don't even if you didn't understand the English language, you'd know something sexy was going on in that
Mhm.
song. It's not
Yeah.
a Marvin Gaye song or
No, but it makes a lot of sense to me. And her voice sounds so good on it too. Oh,
as far as white people music goes, it's pretty sexy.
right.
We've
right.
never been known for our, except Tom Jones notwithstanding, for our white sexy music. So,
Oh man. Best hype song.
I've mentioned it a few times already. Heroes, David Bowie's Heroes. That song can still get under my breastplate and lift me up. And, it's like Comfortably Numb. And a few other, if I even hear a second of it, I'll stop.
Yeah.
If I'm in the grocery
Mhm.
store, shopping for skim milk or something, and I hear it, coming out of the loudspeakers, I'll literally just stop and listen
Yep.
to it, because the sign of good music, especially a song like that, is that it can actually live in multiple environments,
Mm-hmm.
take on new meanings, yet at the same time bring all the meanings that you've gathered previously just right through it. And at my age, to listen to a song like that, which I've been listening to now for close to 50 years, it's like layers and layers and stacks of memories and feelings and associations and stuff. And it's amazing. So,
yeah, incredible song. It's, I'm the same. I think it was last week. I was at the store and it came on and I was checking out and I just started going slower, making sure, because it's like I couldn't not listen to the whole thing. All right. What is the song that means the most to you? Not necessarily because of the song itself, but you associate it with something or someone.
Yeah, I picked Walking After Midnight, another song that it was I love Patsy Cline. I could have picked anything from her catalog. But it's also my particular relationship with her and with country music in general. When we started Rubber Rodeo in the late 70s, early 80s, and we decided that we wanted to use country music as the base of our expression. Everyone just thought we were nuts. Just, we had a pedal steel as a lead guitar. We dressed up like nudie suit, Nashville nudie suit kind of things. But it was goofy new wave, like the B-52s or Devo or something like that. And just having this relation, and she and that music was a perfect example of, we covered Jolene. I could have put Dolly Parton in there. I could have put once again Johnny Cash, but it was I think it's my personal relationship over the years to country music and what it means to me, the good and the bad and the ugly, all of it has sort of, it's kind of my defining DNA. I mean, if we had another hour here, about how hard it is to make Americana music in this day and age. When in the 80s, it wasn't even called Americana music.
Right.
It was called country music. There was country rock, there was all sorts. And then the term Americana stood for the kind of gewgaws you could buy in the gift shop at the Cracker Barrel or something. It didn't apply to music until later in the 80s and the 90s that they start using that term for music. But in this day and age, to make music that is intrinsically at its core American and uses American prototypes and memes and stuff, whether we're talking cowboys or country stars or the American South or the American West, I know this. I found this out early in my career because when we took that over to Europe, it did not mean the same thing to people over there that it meant to us here. And, it was not always popular, not because they didn't like the way we sound, but because they weren't sure what we stood for. It's hard to read the irony or see the subtle differences if you don't know all the tells. And we thought, we weren't prepared for the fact that when we started Sus, that a lot of that people see Sus as a very political band, meaning that we're making a political statement about America in a lot of ways. And I think they all know where on the red blue equivalent where we stand. But it's still to use it to make any kind of music that represents America in its crudest, and I mean crude fashion, is a hard and it's a challenge, but it's a challenge that excites me. It continues to excite me. It excited me back in the 80s and it excites me now. So.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I don't even feel like I got to ask the last question, but I think I know the answer, but what's your favorite song?
Well, you hadn't figured it out yet. It's Wichita Lineman. Though I'd have to say Everybody's Talking comes in a pretty close second, and Eno's song, maybe Becalmed, comes in, or Baby's on Fire come in a third. I think that listening to this podcast, you probably pretty much guess what my top 5 would be. And
sure. Well, man, this was a blast. I really enjoyed this. I really appreciate you taking the time, and thanks for coming on.
I hope you're a good editor. That's all I have to say.
Hey, I'm a terrible editor, but that's all right. So the next drop from Across the Horizon, Volume 2 is out. Is it like next week?
I think it's the 17th of June.
Okay. And then Counting Sunsets is out now.
Counting Sunsets is out. Go listen to it. If you like it, buy it. And I'll say the same thing that I'm sure that Brad says in one way or the other. If you liked any of the music you heard on this show, go out and buy it. Streaming and playlists and podcasts, radio shows are great ways to discover music. But man, the only reason that I'm doing all of this stuff is to convince people that, hey, spend a couple bucks, just support any of these artists. It really makes a difference.
It really does. Yep, absolutely. Once again, thank you to Bob Holmes. Go listen to his picks, link in the show notes to the playlist on YouTube, of course. You really got to check out the new Suts record, Counting Sunsets, on Northern Spy, Across the Horizon, all of it linked in the show notes. You know where to find it. You know what to do. Thank you all for listening. As ever, if you enjoy the show, please leave a rating, review, subscribe. Foxy Digitalis, patreon.com/Foxy Digitalis. A few bucks a month, get you longer episodes with a couple extra questions, no ads, and that recurring support really, really helps. So everybody who's signed up, man, y'all the real MVPs. So, yeah, thank y'all. Till next time, keep on listening to whatever the hell you want.